I'm attempting to complete every single GameCube game, and I'm using a random number generator to pick the next game. Last episode, we went back to college and played NCAA Football 2003, and in this episode, we're collecting contraband and playing Smuggler's Run Warzones. Smuggler's Run Warzones was released on August 7, 2002, and was developed by Angel Studios and published by Rockstar Games. This game is also known as Smuggler's Run 2 Hostile Territory on other consoles. Before we get started, make sure to like this video because it helps out the channel, and subscribe if you're new so you don't miss any of the future games. Without further ado, this is my experience with Smuggler's Run Warzones. In Smuggler's Run Warzones, we're going to play through all of the Smuggler's missions to consider this one complete. This is the campaign for this game, so we'll get credits after completing all the missions. In Smuggler's Run, we play as a member of a small smuggling company known as Exotic Imports, and have to complete various missions for a man that goes by the Colonel. The missions in this game takes place in 3 locations. The first area is the Georgia Desert, the second area is Vietnam, and the final area we return to Georgia in the winter. This game has a bunch of missions throughout the story, a total of 36 main missions and 3 training missions, giving us a total of 39 missions that we're going to have to complete to finish this game. When we start up the game, we're given the option to input our player's name, so I put my YouTube name in and continued into the game. The first mission is called Training Mission 1. Each mission gives you a brief description of what is happening in the mission and what type of mission it's going to be. This first training mission is all about getting through all the checkpoints in a limited amount of time. Once we enter the mission, we can pick the vehicle we want to drive. Since this is our first mission of the game, we have no other vehicle to choose from, so we're going to be using this Super Buggy, a very average choice in this game. Before some missions, we get live action cutscenes that explain the very small amount of story to this game. These cutscenes are very grainy and the audio is so compressed it's extremely hard to listen to. Listen to how bad this is.
Who the hell are you?
Mr. Luger, I've heard much about you.
Where's the colonel?
Yes, the Colonel thought it would be best if I met with you initially, just to make the proper arrangements.
The message was clear. If the colonel wants anything, he meets me personally. Not sense.
Anyways, this cutscene doesn't tell you anything new about the story that I didn't already recap in the intro to the game, so let's move into the actual gameplay of Smuggler's Run. If you didn't know, Smuggler's Run is a game about driving around maps and completing objectives. We can't damage our car too much or we'll fail the mission, we can't get caught by the cops or we'll fail the mission, and we can't run out of time or we'll fail the mission. Some of the later vehicles have power-ups like speed boosts and drops that can get the cops away from us, but other than that, it's very standard GTA-like driving system. Alright, let's move into the mission. There are a few different mission types, and I'll cover them when they show up. So in the first training mission, we have to drive through all the red smoke checkpoints before we run out of time. That's it for this mission type. These are usually easy unless you have the cops trying to take you down. We complete this mission on our first try, and we set a new high score where we put in our initials and earn money. I have no clue what the point of money is because we can't use it for anything in the game, or at least anything that I'm aware of. I know it goes with the smuggling theme of the game, but couldn't we have used it to buy new vehicles or repair the ones we have? I feel like this is such a waste. Anyways, the new training mission has us collecting these yellow smoke signals that are contraband and driving them to the drop point. The drop points are signaled by red smoke. We do this one at a time, and once we complete all 3 of them, we complete the mission and can move on. The third training mission has us following another vehicle. We can't let them get too far from us or we fail the mission. We can determine if we're close enough based on the circle that shows up on the minimap. These missions usually last until they reach a specific area on the map, and then we finish it. Nothing too advanced here, but is another mission type that shows up from time to time. After finishing the training missions, we get another cutscene showing Frank, the main person from the smuggler's crew, meeting with the Colonel about working for him in the deserts of Georgia. These cutscenes don't show up all that often, but when they do, I'll definitely mention them, because this is the only part of the game that shows any story whatsoever. On to the first main mission of the game. Mission 1, because this game is too cool to give names to any of the missions. This is a contraband mission, so we just have to deliver a bunch of boxes to the checkpoints on the map. I'm going to skim over most of the missions in this game because there really isn't much going on in them, and a lot of the same types show up over and over. So I'll just mention when something new shows up, and I'll go more in depth into those new mission types. But for now, this is going to be how I approach the missions in this game. Mission 2 is more the same with delivering contraband, but we have to deal with a lot more police in this mission. I was going to wait and mention this, but I think I should bring it up, that the cops in this game are extremely brutal and is really the only thing that makes this game challenging. Because not only are there way too many of them, but they will not stop chasing after you and bumping you, so something simple can turn into a very difficult task. Mission 3 is a brand new mission type that allows for us to pick our teammates' vehicles, and then we play a primitive version of what Rocket League is. So we have to challenge the other team for picking up contraband and bringing it back to our smoke signals. If they bump into you, they steal the contraband, and then we have to chase them. The first team to a set score wins the mission. Each vehicle does something different, like the car is a runner to pick up the contraband and return it. Then the larger vehicles can either protect the runner or stay in the enemy's smoke signals and try to block them from scoring. It's all done in the vehicles and is why it reminds me of Rocket League. I really like these missions. Missions 4 and 5 are both contraband missions, so we'll just move past them, and then Mission 6 is another Rocket League mission. At least that's what I'm going to call them from now on. This time we have to play to 12 instead of 5, and there are multiple contraband that we can get at once, so the building of a team changes a bit in this one. Mission 7 is a new mission type where we have to chase after a target and do damage to it, so that it eventually blows up and gets destroyed. I don't know how to compare this to anything because we don't have weapons, so we just have to bump into them and try to flip them over, or get them to run into trees, walls, or buildings. They're really easy missions, but because there isn't really anything happening, it gets really boring. Missions 8 and 9 are more contraband missions, and once we complete Mission 9, we get another cutscene where Frank confronts some military guy working for the Colonel, and he tells us we have to do the pickup now, which Frank doesn't take kindly to, and decides to put a gun to the man's head. Then we end up agreeing to do it anyways, or something, and then we move on to Mission 10. Mission 10 has us following that guy, as it says at the bottom of the screen. The only thing to note here is that we are now in Vietnam, so we have some new areas to drive around in. This has more mountains and trees, making things a bit harder to deal with. We get another cutscene confirming this, and we meet someone that is also in the contraband game, and we talk to him about our missions in the area. Mission 11 is another contraband level, and we have to make sure we don't break our vehicle, which happens a lot jumping off these mountains. The crazy thing about this level is that I actually had the game break on me, and my car got sent flying until I hit an invisible wall. This didn't break my car though, but jump down a little bit from the hills will break it. So explain that to me. Anyways, the rest of the mission is uneventful, and we can move on to Mission 12. Mission 12 is another checkpoint level, but this time we have to drive around it and knock over communication towers in the area. This mission was so difficult because of the cops, and that my vehicle would either flip over and I would get busted, or it would break and then I would lose the mission. It took me a bunch of tries, but I was able to get it done after changing to a slightly faster vehicle. Mission 13 is another contraband level, and Mission 14 has us playing Rocket League again, where we have to collect 14 pieces in this one. I always just ended up playing runner in these missions because I don't think my teammates would have been good enough to win for me if I just sat there and played defense. Missions 15, 16, 17, and 18 are all contraband levels, and nothing really happens in them. So we're just going to skip over these ones. Mission 19 is a contraband level, but in this one, it's done in night vision. Wow, look how different this mission is now compared to the other ones. Anyways, we finish this and play another game of Rocket League for Mission 20. This one is much shorter and nothing new happens. Mission 21 is chase and destroy the bad guy. Like I said, these missions could be fun, but they're so easy that when they popped up, I just wanted them to be over. We get another cutscene where Frank is interrogating the man we just crashed in the previous mission to find out who he's working for, and he tells us that he's working for the CIA, which sparks Frank's attention, and then we move on to the next mission. Mission 22 is another contraband level, and then we move to the wintry mountains of Georgia again. This is a much needed change after looking at nothing but green for the last 12 missions. This is going to be the last area we come across in the game, and ice makes things harder to drive on. Missions 23 and 24 are more contraband missions, and mission 25 takes us back into the Rocket League arena, and this is the first one of these mission types that I actually lost in my first attempt. Sometimes we just got unlucky, but the defense of the CPU was just really good when I was trying to get the contraband back to the smoke signals. I was having the most fun with these mission types at this point in the game, so I wasn't all that upset about having to redo it. Mission 26 is another contraband mission. Then we get this cutscene where Frank is tracking a signal they got on someone, and then we have to go and track them down. This is a night vision, track down and destroy the vehicle mission. And this one was only made a bit challenging because of what I was driving and how much health the vehicle we were trying to destroy had. It was still easy, but just something to point out. Mission 28 is another Rocket League mission with a total of 14 contraband that we needed to pick up. This one went according to plan, so that was nice. Mission 29 is a checkpoint mission where we get to drive this truck with tank tracks on the back. This was a fun vehicle to drive around. Missions 30 and 31 are contraband missions and nothing happens in them. Mission 32, we have a follow that guy again mission. This one was a bit more difficult because of the sliding around in the snow and not knowing what the next turn was going to be. Nothing compares to the following mission at the end of the Italian job. If you haven't seen that game yet, check it out on my channel. Anyways, Mission 33 is back to the Rocket League arena, and this one was very challenging. The enemy team really stuck around with their points being very close to ours at the end of the game. If I had to pick the best mission type in this game, it's this one. Mission 34 is another contraband mission, but right after we get a cutscene where Frank is giving the guy we met in Vietnam the business, when a new man interrupts and basically mocks Frank about being a bad smuggler, because Frank won't smuggle things like drugs or nukes. Then he mocks him and asks him what he's smuggling. Teddy bears? It's the worst dialogue in the game. Easily. Mission 35 has us delivering a bomb, and if we hit anything, it explodes and we have to try it again. This mission is short, but this was a good way to do a mission because I actually had to come up with a good path so that I didn't get hit by the cops or land too hard, causing the bomb to explode. We had to do how many contraband missions before we got one good contraband mission? I'm disappointed. We're at the final mission of the game now. Mission 36. Mission 36 is another chase and destroy mission, but this one actually had meaning. Frank has escaped with the passwords to the secret savings accounts, and if we can't stop him, then he'll take all the money for himself. I wish there was more to this mission, but it's just a standard chase after him and destroy him before the timer runs out, and that's it. Nothing special at all in this mission. Once we complete the mission, we get another cutscene, the final cutscene of the game. In this cutscene, our nameless, faceless character is told to stay out of trouble by a man in a truck, and then we run and get into a helicopter and fly away. That's it. This might be the worst ending we've had in a GameCube game yet. Why even shoot that scene if that's all it is? Anyways, the credits roll and we have finished Smuggler's Run Warzones. Would I recommend this game? I wouldn't recommend this game, mainly because it's the same thing over and over, and the environments don't even change that much. The story is sort of just there, and the best thing about it was the Rocket League-like mission types. Maybe this game is meant to be played with friends? But let me know what you think about it in the comments below. If you want to know what's next, stick around, but if not, thanks for watching. Remember to subscribe, like, and share this video, and we'll see you in the next one. Okay, so we got our list up here. We have 528 games that we can get. And on the count of 3, we're going to find out what we're playing next. So in 3, 2, 1, hit the generate button. 391. 391 is... Oh, up, move, not that. Shrek Super Party?